Welcome to Finance Empire. Real life stories. Have you ever posted something online in anger and then instantly wished you could take it back? Maybe it was just one sentence, one emotional reaction, one careless comment typed in frustration after a stressful day. But in today's world, one impulsive click can destroy years of trust in just a few hours. Imagine waking up in the morning thinking it's a normal day, only to realize your entire social life is collapsing in real time. Your friends stop replying, your phone keeps buzzing with hate messages, group chats disappear, co-workers avoid eye contact, and suddenly you realize the internet never forgets. Today's story follows Leo, an ordinary young man who made one reckless mistake online and watched it explode into a nightmare that followed him into his real life. This story will also help you improve your English listening and vocabulary through emotional real-life situations, modern expressions, and useful idioms about regret, confrontation, panic, friendship, and second chances. So sit back, relax, and let's step into a story that could happen to almost anyone in today's digital world. Leo sat alone in his apartment late at night, the glow of his laptop screen reflecting off the tired circles under his eyes. The entire day had drained him emotionally. His boss had criticized his work in front of everyone during a morning meeting. A customer yelled at him over the phone. Traffic on the way home had been unbearable. Even his food delivery arrived cold. Everything felt irritating. He loosened his tie, leaned back in his chair, and opened his favourite social media app just to distract himself for a few minutes. He wanted something mindless. Funny videos, memes, sports highlights. Instead, he found chaos. A massive online argument was trending across the city. Thousands of people were fighting in the comment section about a sensitive local issue that had already divided neighbourhoods, workplaces, and even families. Leo scrolled through the comments with growing frustration. "This is unbelievable," he muttered to himself. "People have completely lost their minds." His irritation slowly transformed into anger. Without thinking carefully, he started typing. His fingers moved faster than his brain. Sentence after sentence spilled out aggressively. Sarcastic remarks, harsh opinions, blunt accusations. Deep down, a small voice warned him to stop. But anger is loud, wisdom is quiet. And in that moment, Leo listened to the anger. With one sharp click, he posted the comment publicly for everyone to see. For a few seconds, he stared at his words glowing on the screen. Something about them felt wrong immediately. A strange, uncomfortable feeling settled into his chest. Maybe I should delete that. But pride quickly stepped in. "No," he whispered to himself. "People are too sensitive anyway." He closed the laptop, turned off the lights, and went to bed completely unaware that his life was about to change overnight. The next morning started like any normal morning. Leo reached for his phone while still half asleep. He expected a few notifications from friends, maybe some sports updates, maybe a funny message from Marcus. Instead, his screen exploded with alerts, hundreds of notifications. His heart skipped. At first, excitement flashed across his face. Did my post go viral? But the excitement vanished instantly when he opened the app. Comment after comment attacked him aggressively. "You should be ashamed. This is disgusting. How can someone be this ignorant? You just exposed your true character." Leo sat upright immediately, fully awake now. His stomach tightened painfully as he scrolled through the endless stream of anger. The comment section had become a battlefield. People were tagging each other, arguing, sharing screenshots. His profile picture was spreading across local pages faster than he could process. The worst part wasn't the strangers. It was the familiar names. Old classmates, neighbours, co-workers, friends. Real people from his actual life were commenting publicly beneath his post. His chest began tightening. Then he saw Marcus. Leo froze. Marcus had been his best friend for nearly 10 years. They survived college together, shared apartments, celebrated birthdays, supported each other through breakups and family problems. Marcus knew him better than almost anyone. Surely Marcus would text privately first. Surely he would understand. But instead, Marcus had left a public reply directly under the controversial comment. "I honestly can't believe you posted this, Leo. This is deeply disappointing." Leo felt like the air had been punched out of his lungs. The words hit harder than all the hate from strangers combined. He immediately tapped Marcus's profile to message him privately. But when the page loaded, Leo's stomach dropped. The message button was gone. In its place was a blue button that read, Add Friend. Marcus had unfriended him. Just like that. 10 years of friendship suddenly felt fragile. Leo sat frozen on the edge of his bed, staring at the screen in disbelief. Then another notification appeared. You have been removed from the group chat. His eyes widened. The weekend friend group. Gone. He clicked desperately, hoping it was some mistake. But the chat had disappeared completely. The digital domino effect had started. One by one, more names vanished from his followers list. The numbers kept dropping every time he refreshed the page. It felt like watching pieces of his identity disappear in real time. His phone buzzed constantly, like an alarm that would never stop ringing. Leo stood up and paced around his apartment, trying to calm himself down. This is insane, he whispered. People are overreacting. But even as he said it, he didn't fully believe it anymore. Because deep inside, he already knew something important. His words had crossed a line. At work that afternoon, things became even worse. The moment Leo entered the office, he sensed the tension immediately. Conversations stopped. People avoided eye contact. Normally, the office was loud and friendly, but now silence followed him like a shadow. When he walked into the break room during lunch, laughter instantly died. One coworker slowly looked down at her phone. Another suddenly became very interested in stirring his coffee. Nobody greeted him. Nobody smiled. The silence felt heavier than shouting. Leo heated his lunch in the microwave while trying not to panic. He could physically feel judgment surrounding him from every direction. The screenshot had reached the office. Reached the Alpha. Of course it had. The internet never stays online anymore. It follows you everywhere. Into friendships, into workplaces, into family dinners, into real life. Leo grabbed his food and left without eating a single bite. Outside in the parking lot, he finally spotted Sarah, one of his closest co-workers. Sarah, wait, he called nervously. She turned slowly with crossed arms. Leo forced an awkward laugh. Look, people are taking the post way too seriously. Sarah's expression didn't soften at all. Are they? She asked quietly. Leo swallowed. I was just angry. I didn't actually mean... That's the problem, Sarah interrupted sharply. You didn't think. Her words stung. You think words disappear just because you were emotional? Leo opened his mouth to defend himself, but Sarah continued. People trusted you, Leo. Some of the people hurt by your words sit 5 feet away from you every single day. The parking lot suddenly felt unbearably hot. You don't get to throw poison into the world and then act surprised when people stop feeling safe around you. Leo looked away, unable to respond. Sarah shook her head sadly before walking to her car. For the first time that day, Leo stopped feeling angry. Now he only felt ashamed. That night, alone in his apartment, Leo stared at his phone while the room sat in darkness around him. He finally decided to delete the post. His finger hovered above the button nervously. Would deleting it help, or would it make him look weak? After several painful seconds, he clicked delete. The post disappeared instantly, but relief never came, because seconds later, a new message arrived. A screenshot. Someone had already saved the comment. They're sharing this everywhere, the message warned. Leo felt sick. The internet had already preserved his mistake permanently. Screenshots are forever. The realization crushed him emotionally. He buried his face in his hands, exhausted and overwhelmed. Then something unexpected happened. New notifications began flooding in from strangers. But unlike everyone else, these strangers agreed with him. You spoke the truth. Finally, someone brave enough to say it. You belong with us. At first, the validation felt comforting. After an entire day of rejection, any support felt good. But as Leo clicked through their profiles, fear slowly replaced relief. The pages were filled with hatred, conspiracy theories, cruel jokes, endless anger. These weren't people searching for understanding. They were people feeding off outrage. Leo suddenly realized something terrifying. When good people leave your life, toxic people rush to fill the empty space, and loneliness can make dangerous communities feel welcoming. He quickly closed the app, his heart pounding again. He suddenly missed Marcus more than ever. Not because Marcus agreed with him, but because Marcus cared enough to tell him when he was wrong. That night, Leo sat silently in his dark apartment, thinking about every decision that had led him here. One emotional moment, one careless comment, one impulsive click, and now his entire life felt different. But deep down, he also knew something else. Deleting the post wasn't enough anymore. If he truly wanted to fix the damage, he would finally have to face the hardest thing of all: himself. And in part 2, Leo realizes that rebuilding trust is far more difficult than destroying it. Friendships are tested, apologies become painful, and he discovers whether people can truly forgive someone after the internet turns against them. Because sometimes the hardest battle isn't surviving public shame, it's becoming someone better after causing it. Part 2. Binayan Part 2. Welcome back to Finance Empire. Real life stories. In Part 1, we watched Leo lose control of his online anger and destroy years of trust with one impulsive comment. His friendships cracked, his workplace became uncomfortable, and the internet turned his mistake into public entertainment. But now comes the hardest part of the story. What happens after the damage is done? Because apologizing is easy, earning trust back is the difficult part. Tonight's chapter is about regret, accountability, loneliness, and the painful process of rebuilding relationships after people stop seeing you the same way. So take a deep breath. And let's continue Leo's story. The apartment felt painfully quiet. Leo sat on the edge of his couch staring at the city lights outside his window while his untouched dinner grew cold beside him. Usually nights were filled with messages from friends, funny memes in group chats, or random calls from Marcus asking if he wanted to grab food. Now there was nothing. Silence. The kind of silence that forces you to sit alone with your thoughts. Leo picked up his phone again, hoping somehow things had improved overnight. But the notifications were still brutal. More unfollows, more criticism, more screenshots spreading through local pages. Even worse, people had started creating their own narratives about him. Strangers who had never spoken to him were acting like they understood his entire personality from one angry comment. "That's the internet," Leo whispered bitterly. "One mistake becomes your identity." He tossed the phone onto the couch and rubbed his tired eyes. For the first time since this nightmare began, he stopped focusing on his reputation and started thinking about the people he had genuinely hurt. Marcus, Sarah, his co-workers, friends who once trusted him. The shame felt heavier now because it was no longer mixed with defensiveness. Now it was honest regret. The next morning, Leo arrived at work earlier than usual, hoping to avoid people. But awkwardness was unavoidable. As he walked through the office hallway, conversations lowered into whispers. He hated the feeling. Every glance felt loaded with judgment. Every silence felt intentional. At his desk, Leo tried desperately to focus on work, but his concentration was destroyed. Emails blurred together. Numbers stopped making sense. His anxiety kept replaying Sarah's words inside his head. You don't get to throw poison into the world and act surprised when people stop feeling safe around you. The sentence haunted him. Around lunchtime, his supervisor approached quietly. "Leo, can we talk for a second?" His stomach dropped immediately. He followed his supervisor into a small conference room where the blinds were half closed. The atmosphere felt formal, uncomfortable. His supervisor sighed carefully before speaking. "Look, your online activity has created tension in the office." Leo lowered his eyes. "We're not here to control your personal opinions," the supervisor continued calmly. "But when public behavior affects the workplace environment, it becomes difficult to ignore." Leo nodded silently. "I understand." And for once, he actually meant it. The supervisor studied him carefully. "You're a good employee, Leo, but right now, people are uncomfortable. It's going to take time." Time. That word hurt more than anger, because anger can fade quickly. But rebuilding trust takes patience. After work, Leo walked aimlessly through the city streets instead of going straight home. The cold evening air hit his face, while traffic lights reflected across wet sidewalks. Everywhere he looked, people were together. Friends laughing outside restaurants, couples talking, groups taking photos. Meanwhile, he felt completely disconnected from the world around him. Loneliness changes the way a city feels. Places that once felt familiar suddenly feel enormous and empty. Leo stopped outside a small cafe he used to visit with Marcus almost every Friday night. Without thinking, he walked inside. The smell of coffee instantly triggered memories. Late-night conversations, jokes, arguments about sports, plans for the future. Now he sat alone at the same corner table. The emptiness beside him felt symbolic. He finally pulled out his laptop and opened a blank document. For several minutes he stared at the blinking cursor. Then slowly he began typing a message to Marcus. Not a defensive message. Not an excuse. An honest apology. Every sentence felt uncomfortable because honesty usually is uncomfortable. I was arrogant. I spoke carelessly. I hurt people. I disappointed you. Leo paused repeatedly, deleting fake-sounding phrases and rewriting them sincerely. For the first time in days, he stopped trying to protect his pride. He finally accepted responsibility fully. When the message was finished, he read it 3 times carefully. Then he pressed send. Immediately, anxiety flooded his chest again. What if Marcus ignored him? What if the friendship was already dead? What if apologies weren't enough? But despite the fear, Leo also felt something new. Relief. Because truth feels lighter than pretending. Days passed slowly. No response came. Leo tried focusing on improving himself instead of obsessing over notifications. He stopped opening social media every 10 minutes. He deleted toxic accounts from his feed. He started spending evenings offline completely. At first, the silence felt unbearable. Then gradually it became peaceful. Without constant digital noise, Leo noticed how exhausted his mind had become over the years. He had spent so much time arguing online that he forgot how to simply exist quietly. One evening, while cleaning his apartment, Leo found an old framed photo of himself and Marcus from college graduation. They looked genuinely happy. No filters, no internet performance, no fake outrage. Just friendship. Leo sat on the floor, holding the picture for a long time. That's when he realized something important. Social media had convinced everyone that every opinion must be announced publicly. But not every thought deserves a microphone. Some frustrations should stay private. Some emotions should cool down before being shared. And some opinions simply aren't worth destroying relationships over. A week later, Leo's phone buzzed unexpectedly while he was grocery shopping. His heart raced when he saw Marcus's name. The message was short. Coffee tomorrow? Leo stared at the screen for several seconds in disbelief. Then he typed back immediately. Yeah, absolutely. The next afternoon, rain poured steadily across the city as Leo entered the cafe nervously. His hands felt cold despite the warmth inside. Marcus was already sitting near the window. For a moment, neither man spoke. The comfortable friendship they once had now felt fragile. Marcus looked tired. Leo realized this situation had hurt him deeply too. Finally, Marcus sighed. Your apology mattered. Leo swallowed hard. I meant every word. Marcus nodded slowly but didn't smile. I'm still angry, he admitted honestly. I know. And honestly, I don't fully recognize the person who wrote that comment. The sentence hurt badly, because Leo didn't fully recognize himself anymore either. I was angry and stupid, Leo admitted quietly. But that's not an excuse. Marcus studied him carefully across the table. You know what scared me most? He asked. Leo shook his head. You sounded exactly like those people online who live off outrage and hatred. And for a second, I wondered if maybe that's who you actually were. Leo looked down immediately. That's fair, he whispered. The rain tapped softly against the cafe windows while silence settled between them again. Then Marcus leaned back slightly. Trust doesn't come back overnight, Leo. I know. But people can change if they genuinely want to. That small sentence felt bigger than forgiveness. It felt like hope. Over the following weeks, life slowly stabilized. Not perfectly, not magically. Some friendships never fully recovered. A few people continued avoiding him entirely. Some co-workers stayed distant, and Leo accepted that. One lesson adulthood teaches painfully is this. Actions have consequences that apologies cannot completely erase. But Leo also noticed small improvements. Sarah eventually started speaking to him normally again during meetings. The office tension slowly softened. Marcus invited him to small hangouts again, though things still felt slightly cautious at times. Trust was rebuilding brick by brick, and Leo understood now that patience was part of accountability. One Saturday afternoon, Marcus asked him an unexpected question while they walked through a local park. Do you regret posting it because people got mad, or because you actually changed your thinking? Leo thought carefully before answering. Then he spoke honestly. At first, I regretted getting caught in the backlash. Marcus nodded quietly. But now, Leo continued, I regret becoming the kind of person who valued being loud more than being kind. Marcus finally smiled slightly for the first time in weeks. That answer sounds more like you. The wind moved softly through the trees while people walked dogs and children played nearby. Simple, real-world moments. Moments Leo almost destroyed chasing online validation. That night, back home, Leo opened his phone one final time. He looked at the social media apps silently. Then, one by one, he deleted them all. No dramatic announcement, no goodbye post, no fake speech about personal growth, just silence. He placed the phone on the table and stepped onto his apartment balcony. For the first time in weeks, his mind felt calm. The internet had taught him a brutal lesson. Words typed in seconds can damage relationships built over years. Online applause means nothing compared to real human trust, and deleting a post never deletes its consequences. But the experience also taught him something hopeful. People make mistakes. People lose their way. People say terrible things when anger controls them. Yet growth is still possible when pride is replaced with honesty. Leo looked out across the city lights and took a slow, deep breath. The road ahead was still long. Some people would never forgive him completely, and maybe they didn't have to. Because accountability is not about forcing forgiveness. It's about becoming someone better, whether forgiveness comes or not. As the cool night air moved around him, Leo finally understood something simple but powerful. The strongest connections in life are not built through followers, likes, or online approval. They are built quietly, face to face, through trust, respect, and kindness. And once broken, those things are incredibly difficult to repair. Thank you so much for listening to today's story. The deleted comment reminds us that modern technology gives everyone a voice, but wisdom comes from knowing when to speak, when to stay silent, and how to treat real people behind the screen. If this story helped improve your English listening and vocabulary, don't forget to continue practicing expressions about accountability, making amends, emotional pressure, and personal growth. And remember, one angry moment online can create consequences that last far longer than the post itself. We'll see you in the next real-life story. Goodbye.